Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. And now on to the rest of our stories. Amid the ongoing controversy surrounding the proposed tax reform bills by the current administration, the federal government and 21 out of the 36 states in the federation have projected a combined value-added tax revenue of 2.5 trillion naira for 2025 in their respective budget estimates. This projection excludes additional funds that may accrue from the implementation of the contentious tax reform bills. VAT, a consumption tax on goods and services, is levied at each stage of the supply chain where value is added. Newsmen previously reported that VAT revenue collected under the current administration increased by 549 billion naira within 6 months. This figure was derived from financial reports released by the Federation Accounts Allocation Committee between October 2023 and March 2024. An analysis of the 2025 budget documents from the federal government and 21 states revealed a combined VAT revenue projection of about 2.53 trillion naira, representing a significant increase of 1 trillion naira, 65.8% compared to the 1,527 trillion naira budgeted in 2024. The 21 states include Kebbi, Kaduna, Ekiti, Oyo, Osun, Ogun, Enugu, Borno, Ondo, Kano, Katsina, Ebonyi, Gombe, Anambra, Abia, Niger, Jigawa, Bauchi, Akwa Ibom, Adamawa, and Delta. Budget documents for the remaining 14 states and the Federal Capital Territory were unavailable. In 2024, the federal government's share of VAT revenue was 512.8 billion naira, but it is projected to rise to 972 billion naira in 2025. Similarly, Kebbi State, which received 41 billion naira from VAT in 2024, anticipates 87.33 billion naira this year. Kaduna State's VAT revenue is projected at 57.8 billion naira, up from 48.2 billion naira in its 2024 budget. Ekiti State plans to generate 54.9 billion naira in VAT revenue this year compared to 52.6 billion naira in 2024. Oyo State, which earned 78.8 billion naira from VAT in 2024, projected 144 billion naira for 2025, while Osun State expects 78.1 billion naira, up from 45.3 billion naira last year. Other states such as Ogun, Enugu, Borno, Ondo, Kano, Katsina, Ebonyi, Gombe, and Anambra have projected VAT revenues of 85 billion naira, 74 billion naira, 87.3 billion naira, 71.5 billion naira, 97.3 billion naira, 85.9 billion naira, 50.8 billion naira, 39 billion naira, and 92.4 billion naira respectively for 2025. In comparison, their 2024 projections were 57.7 billion naira, 44 billion naira, 74.9 billion naira, 87.3 billion naira, 71.5 billion naira, 97.3 billion naira, 85.9 billion naira, 50.8 billion naira, 39 billion naira, and 92.4 billion naira respectively for 2025. In comparison, their 2024 projections were 57.7 billion naira, 44 billion naira, 49.4 billion naira, 30.3 billion naira, 76.6 billion naira, 46.9 billion naira, 36.5 billion naira, 30 billion naira, and 58.4 billion naira respectively. Similarly, Abia, Niger, Jigawa, Bauchi, Akwa Ibom as for 2024 we are 40 billion naira, 50.6 billion naira, 45 billion naira, 45 billion naira, 45 billion naira, 47 billion naira, and 45.7 billion naira. Federal government has earmarked 2.1 billion naira in the proposed 2025 budget for the posting and return entitlement of ambassadors and officers. Newsman has learned a sum of 53 billion naira has also been proposed for the renovation of 1 and 3 foreign missions covering chanceries, staff quarters, ambassadors' residences, office furniture, and official vehicles. The proposed allocations include 554 million naira for the foreign mission in Abidjan, 812 million naira for Banjul, 555 for Brazzaville, 558 for Port of Spain, 576 million naira for Caracas, 624 million naira for Kingston, 567 million naira for Libreville, 409 million naira for Buenos Aires. Of Foreign Affairs, Yusuf Tuga, confirmed the funding shortfalls, stating that appointing ambassadors without adequate resources for their travel and effective mission operations would be counterproductive. He said, "We met a situation where foreign affairs was not being funded like it should be. Some loopholes are exploited by the likes of Binance. It is a money problem. There is no point sending out ambassadors if you do not have the funds for them to even travel to the designated country and to run the missions effectively. One needs funding. Mr. President is working on it and it will be done in due course," Tuga said during a ministerial sectoral briefing in Abuja in May. The President's Special Advisor on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, clarified that the nomination of ambassadors involves both career and political appointees, requiring thorough vetting and National Assembly approval. Don't forget that the ambassadorial list has two components. There are career ambassadors and political ambassadors. The foreign affairs list and the consolidated list will still go through certain processes before it is released, he noted. However, retired diplomats have raised concerns over the prolonged absence of substantive heads for Nigeria's missions. A former consul to Cameroon, Rashid Akinkoli, stressed the importance of functional embassies for maintaining diplomatic relations. He said the delay in appointing ambassadors may be a result of some internal issues which have to be sorted out before appointing ambassadors. The primary concern of the international community is to have a functioning embassy. It is a serious matter if an embassy is closed down, which would be a significant blow to diplomacy and foreign relations. The process of appointing ambassadors could be long. Even after an ambassador has been appointed, the host country has to accept the nominee. The process includes security checks and SNET clearance, amongst others. These are long and tedious processes that cannot be rushed. Federal government's consolidated financial statement for 2022 has been delayed due to challenges in reconciling the consolidated revenue fund bank statements with the Central Bank of Nigeria. This was disclosed by the Accountant General of the Federation, Dr. Oluwatoyin Madein, during an oversight visit by the House of Representatives Committee on Public Accounts to the Treasury House in Abuja on January 8, 2024. According to a press statement on Friday by Bawa Mokwa, the Director of Press at the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation, Madein stated that since her resumption of office in May 2023, the federal government's consolidated financial statements had been prepared and audited to December 31, 2019. In a statement, she was quoted as saying, "In collaboration with the Auditor General of the Federation, we have prepared and audited 2020-2021 CFS, while 2022 is ongoing. It would have been completed, but for problems we have regarding the reconciliation of bank statements for the Consolidated Revenue Fund with the Central Bank of Nigeria." The AGF also reviewed efforts to tackle Nigeria's revenue challenges through aggressive revenue drives, which she said had improved funding for personnel costs, overheads, and capital projects in 2024. She noted that her office had proposed enhancements to the government's integrated financial state management information system and the integrated payroll and personnel information system, aimed at strengthening the financial management with the support of the National Assembly. In response, the chairman of the House Committee on Public Accounts, Honorable Bamidele Salam, urged the AGF to expedite the submission of the 2022 consolidated financial statement as required by the 1999 Constitution. He also highlighted concerns over low revenue remittances by government-owned enterprises, calling for stricter measures to block revenue leakages through automation and regular audits. The AGF's office pledged continued efforts to enhance fiscal transparency and address revenue shortfalls. Onto the stock market. U.S. stock index futures fell on Monday as yields surged after robust payroll numbers released the previous week spurred bets that the Federal Reserve will maintain a hawkish stance for most of 2025. At 5:44 a.m. European time, Dow E-minis were down 103 points or 0.32%, and S&P 500 E-minis were down. Futures tracking the domestically sensitive Russell 2000 index declined 1.1% to their lowest since September 2024. The index had fallen more than 2% into correction territory on Friday from the intraday high it touched in late November. Wall Street's main indexes logged their second consecutive week of declines in the previous session after multiple better than expected reports, including one on employment and another on services activity, raised expectations that inflation could be running high in the world's largest economy. Investors also priced in the likelihood that the incoming Donald Trump government policies such as tariffs and clampdown on illegal immigration could threaten global trade and fuel price pressures at a time when the US bonds are pinned at the highest levels since late 2024. Data compiled by LSEG showed traders were no longer fully pricing in even one rate cut by the FED this year, with futures reflecting just 23.6 basis points worth of cuts by December this year. The consumer price index figure and the central bank's beige book on economic activities, both due on Wednesday, could help investors gauge the central bank's policy outlook. The risk-off stance hit mega gaps, which have led much of the rally in US stocks over the past 2 years. Tesla slid 2.5%, Amazon.com dropped 1.2%, and Alphabet lost 1% in pre-market trade. Cheap stocks such as Nvidia dropped 3%, 2.9%, and Chase and Co., Wells Fargo, Goldman Sachs, and Citigroup are due to report on Wednesday. Caution the impact of new US sanctions designed to curb Russia's oil and gas revenue. The ruble was down 0.7% at 102.45 against the dollar by 1,000 GMT over the counter market data showed. The ruble weakened 0.8% to 13.81 against the yuan in trading on the Moscow Stock Exchange. The yuan has become the most traded foreign currency in Russia, with China using it to pay for energy imports from Russia. The U.S. Treasury on January 10 imposed sanctions on Russian oil producers Gazprom Neft and Sokneft, as well as 183 vessels that have shipped Russian oil. Oil prices have since risen over $1 a barrel, the highest in more than 4 months. The ruble drew support from an announcement by the Finance Ministry on Friday that implied net forex sales by the states would rise by almost 1/3 to 4.76 billion rubles, $46.42 million per day from January 15. Under a complex scheme of foreign currency operations, the central bank buys and sells forex to ensure supply on the domestic market and to act on behalf of the Finance Ministry, which runs the Rainy Day National Wealth Fund. Because of Western sanctions, making the yuan the clear choice for forex interventions. The central bank propped up the ruble last December by deferring purchases of foreign currency on behalf of the Finance Ministry. The ruble touched its lowest in around 2 to 1.5 years in November in response to the previous US sanctions package. British equities slipped on Monday, caught up in a global sell-off as investors shied away from risky assets following a US jobs report last week reinforced bets that the Federal Reserve would be cautious about cutting interest rates this year. The blue chip FTSE 100 shed 0.4% as at 10:23 GMT, while the domestically focused FTSE 250 mid-cap index lost 0.3%. Most subsectors traded lower, with aerospace and defense the worst hit, down 1.8%. Global stocks fell, while bond yields remained elevated after data on Friday showed U.S. job growth unexpectedly accelerated in December, while the unemployment rate fell to 4.1%. The yield on the 30-year gilt jumped to a fresh 27-year high, while the yield on the 10-year note stood at its highest since 2008, extending the sell-off into the second week. British mid-caps suffered a near 3% drop last week, hurt by a sharp rise in British borrowing costs that fueled concerns about public finances following big spending plans announced by the government. We are open for advert placements, bookings and commercials. You can connect with us on all our ATN socials, Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network, Instagram and TikTok, Atlantic TV Network 1, on Twitter, Atlantic TV Net. Watch us live on our website on www.atlanticnetwork.tv. Peace and unity are the pathways to progress. I am Favor Chikwestre Michael. Thank you for watching.
From the lands across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all the sport news, live analysis,